Hello, good evening, and welcome to our front. Now, so the first quarter of GDP this year has inched up compared to the same period last year. Inflation is also trending downwards, and the Ghanaian government has reached a memorandum of understanding with this official creditor committee. The IMF is expected to release the next tranche of the bailout money by the end of the month. Triple good news, yet the Ghanaian cedi is on a steady decline. In this numerical 3-against-1 ratio, is this a sign that Ghana's economy is on the path to recovery? Well, my guest tonight is a former manager of that economy, Seth Terkper. We shall hear his verdict on what's really happening. Mr. Terkper, you are welcome to our front.
Thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers and to your listeners.
And I'll be interested in your verdict too. Are we on the path to recovery as an economy, which has really suffered recently? Mr. Terkper, I hope you are doing well, especially mindful of what's happening in the economy. You sit back. I just listed the very positive developments, if you like. GDP first quarter going up. We've also seen, of course, it's gone to 4.7% from 3.8% the same period last year. And the developments are in other areas that we will talk about perhaps later on. The IMF is expected to release the next tranche of the bailout money. Inflation also trended downwards a little bit, from 25% to about 23%. We've had a memorandum of understanding, MOU, with our official creditors committee. If you believe government, this is a landmark development. All of this coming together is sending a signal to people that the Ghanaian economy is already taking a good turn on the path to recovery. This is the year 2024. Is that an assertion you support boldly?
I would admit to the fact that in austerity programs, what we expect, which is a gradual, recovery from where, we have been, is a feature. That I would admit. But if the indices you are talking about, we should not forget that many of these indices are the result of, for example, debt suspension and therefore less pressure on the budget. Of course, there is the deficit financing, which has been curtailed as a result of the fund program, which was a cause of the inflation to begin with. So, in admitting it, we must be conscious of two facts as Ghanaians. And the first one is that there is a sacrifice to the progress we are making now, which is waiting down the line, to fall on future governments and future generations. In terms of the suspension of debt, which may have made more budget resources available, which would come, to us from about 2017, sometimes as early as 2018, certainly through 2027. The program will then be still continuing. We do also have, a situation with respect to inflation going down the road towards the end of the year, the dry season, the toughest part. This is the best time for inflation to the extent that the rains have been good, harvests will be good. It happened last year. In essence, what I'm saying is that the economy is in deep structural challenges, and therefore we should be cautious in not being complacent with the developments that are happening now. We may be misreading, of course now there's better surveillance, what is going on, as in 2017, 2018, bailout and other conditions. This time it's reliefs that are bringing in these results, only to wake up or to have woken up back then in 2019 for all the figures, to be revised. So I would say that these are good numbers for the sake of the economy, because things are really tough, for Ghanaians, and I would hope that we will sustain, the momentum to get better use of the fund and World Bank and other resources than we have done, in the past. For example, with the magnificent injection of almost $6 billion into the economy without, which rather took us into a tailspin, in addition to which included the deficit financing, which I was talking about.
Now, I hear you say we should not be complacent. I hear you say we may be misreading the figures in a way and the good news we are seeing now. Let's take it one by one. The first one is GDP. Quarterly GDP is suggesting that we've made progress compared to the same period, say, last year. What is difficult to understand about that?
Oh, I'm only saying that the economy, this is an economy which, had done 2.8 going into, the beginning of this administration, and with an immediate injection of 3 oil fields, which increased the output from $70,000 per barrel to nearly $200,000 per barrel, and a rebound in oil prices from low 40s, to about 55, 60s, and yet we went into deep trouble, deep difficulties. I did qualify it and say that, yes, we do have better surveillance. And I would hope that we would not go into some of the engineering that went into the complacency that led to the Article 4 2019, virtually revising our numbers, of which we didn't take any recognition.
Sorry.
Right. So I'm only...
But you believe these numbers, right? There's no dispute about the 4.7. You believe
it's from the Statistical Service. Why should I
have any doubt about it?
I'm not disputing it.
I mean, in times past, there have been some difficulty with politicians treating the numbers as and when they wanted to believe so. So that's why I'm asking whether you believe it to be factual representation.
I've been on your show, and I think that I don't know if I have ever disputed any figures from the Statistical Service. So I don't think you should use a broad brush.
No, I get you. Yeah, but when you say...
I said I have been on your show.
When you say that the engineering that happens...
Oh, no, but that's for real. That's for real. That's what I'm talking about.
And which reference period are you talking about?
I'm talking of what led us into this situation which the IMF described as pre-existing. For example, we were not doing a deficit of 4.7. We said we were doing, when in actual fact it was 7. We were not doing 5.3%, when in fact, the deficit was 7.5.
But is it not how
we were, excuse me, you asked a question.
Yes,
no,
but we've been through this.
No, don't truncate.
I will let you speak to it. Forgive me. I will let you complete that.
Yeah,
forgive me.
So we pointed out that you cannot compare yourself, this administration cannot compare itself, one, to President Mahama, to President Mills, to President Kufuor, who included exceptional expenditures and the rest above the line. And they were shown below the line. In the end, we all know what happened. The fund itself said, there was pre-existing. So I have every reason to caution that we should not be, complacent. And I did qualify that, of course, now we have, more, better surveillance of what's going on with respect to the numbers. You are taking it to the board. Of course, you took some of those numbers to the IMF board, only for it to be revised. So that is the caution that I'm raising. I'm not disputing, that Statistical Service has, made a mistake or not. No, it's Statistical Service that been giving us the numbers all this while.
Yes, is that clarity that, of course, this is also predominantly from industry and also from the services sector. It's not from agriculture.
Remember, industry has been declining.
Yeah.
And it was, what, near negative, almost negative?
No, so I didn't see the negative, but I felt close to that, yeah.
Yeah, very low, right? And it was excessive. So a rebound of industry pushing the index from a very low, of course, the percentage, would be, commendable, as far as, yes. So that's the point I'm making.
Okay.
I'm putting things in context.
Yeah, agriculture. The recent conversations about cocoa sector, the difficulties there. And I know that when you are a finance minister, you or one of your deputies will certainly be on the cocoa board. It mostly happens all the time. So an understanding of what happens in agriculture is absolutely important. Government says, despite all the injections that they have done and all of the the difficulties they've had to deal with, destruction of the environment, the El Nino effect.
You mean self-inflicted difficulties?
No. I'm talking about Galamsey and those things. That's what they talk about.
But are some of those not self-inflicted? Is the cocoa bill issue not self-inflicted?
Oh, you're mentioning those ones.
Of course, but you must take the totality of everything. You don't pick and choose. That's the point I'm making. So I'm saying that cocoa boards, yes, cocoa board, I heard the commentary of, cocoa board making, good progress and, it's happening. Let's not forget that the debt which we are talking, the debt that we are talking about today includes a contingency fund from cocoa board. We need to be, which has been added to public debt.
That's true, that's true.
Of course, yes. So we must, this is the complacency.
But they said that they needed that to save the cocoa sector.
Yes, but everybody, it was common knowledge that cocoa board was not increasing prices. It was common knowledge that they were struggling to provide inputs to the farmers. It was common knowledge that the farms were being devastated. So what is the surprise?
But they said for the first time, they are pumping a huge amount of money to replace trees, old trees, including trees that have been affected by the sowing.
Please go back to the records. The treatment of sowing shoots.
Yes.
Right.
The cutting out method.
I'm a cocoa farmer son.
No, I'm not disputing that.
Yes, and I'm saying that from when I was a child, I knew about sowing shoots. So who stopped it? Who stopped them and such that now we have had to apply it and we are saying we've done an impressive job? Who devastated the cocoa farms, such that the seedlings project, which Dr. Puni and others, started and Prague government started. Why are they not being planted? Is it not because of Galamsey and the blockade? I can show you a picture. I went to my grandfather's cocoa farm. I couldn't even recognize it. It was, a stream had turned into a pond, complete pond. I can show you the picture. So I'm saying that, and in fact, I can forward you the article where they were talking about cocoa price increases. I tweeted it. You can let your producer look for it in the internet. We can discuss it. Where they had given the reasons and we're talking about the shortages, the price increase, and everything. And they said, let's pause a minute, in the case of Ghana. And they started listing all these factors. The lack of increase in price of cocoa farmers. They listed Galamsey. They listed...
Did they list the El Nino effect?
Yes, of course. Those were the ones they began...
environmental issue.
No, they mentioned it. That's what they started...
ICCO says is the cause of the biggest problems.
I'm saying that the article is balanced. It started with those factors. And then it said, of course, there are other factors, and they started listing in the case of Ghana. So I'm saying that we shouldn't. What is being projected now is similar to the economy being in trouble and constantly blaming it on external factors like, COVID. It's a similar situation.
Is it the El Nino one?
I'm saying it's a similar situation. So all of a sudden, no, the problem.
But El Nino is real.
I am saying
weather changes that extreme.
I am not saying it's so real. It's as real as COVID was real.
Okay.
But I'm saying that jumping to these big, problems, and then all of a sudden using it to explain away, pre-existing, as the IMF will put it, pre-existing conditions that were already terrible. That is what I'm saying. You see the complacency.
And since we are talking about cocoa, in the year 2017, in fact, the Reuters reported this matter in March 2017. Ghana's $1.8 billion loan for 2016-2017 cocoa is all gone. This is what the current leadership of Cocoa Board had said in 2017.
It's gone from where?
They say you are supposed to, when you did the loan,
yes,
when they came into office in 2017,
yes,
by the time they entered office, the entire 1.8 billion had been wiped out. There was no pesewa to buy beans or cocoa beans across the country.
Who says so?
That is what Cocoa Board said.
Okay, you should release it.
So they had to borrow, but this is, they retweeted it recently.
Yeah, but no, the point, wait a minute. You do the marketing for cocoa, right? We were aiming at 70%. Are they saying that it was terrible for us and that's why they were not paying the cocoa farmers the price? It was terrible to go to the market, right, and give 70% or 60+% to the farmers. It's their money. In any case, the entire 100% you can say belongs to them. Are they saying that, Cocoa Board at the time shouldn't have used the money, to fix warehouses, vehicles, and the rest? That is a trend.
Okay. No, but they said that...
That is a trend. And isn't that why they therefore, all the marketing, all the marketing after the marketing, you do cocoa bills and the rest, which we left buffers and stopped, virtually stopped issuing of the cocoa bills. That explains what we did was to face it out.
So it was not as if the money was squandered?
No, the money was not squandered. I would wish to look at the audit report that shows that the money was squandered. Because,
I mean, the impression out there has been that, why would...
No, we were doing cocoa rolls, and you have to pay them, right? You were doing cocoa rolls. This is similar. What you are saying is quite similar and familiar. It's like blaming Doomsop on President Mahama when, 1, you got ESLA, 2, you boasted in Washington that with ESLA, you were going to clear all of the IPP debt. 3, you collateralized, ESLA. 4, you didn't apply it. And then you come back and blame bailout costs, energy costs on President Mahama. We are seeing a repetition.
No, I mean, you're talking about...
No, I'm saying that we are seeing a repetition.
Of our financial crisis today.
I'm saying
that led us to...
I'm drawing an analogy. Please, carefully.
Okay.
I'm saying that. It's a refrain. It's a normal refrain we know, right? Cocoa money came in. It wasn't applied, right? And therefore, we didn't receive anything. When you know very well that the cocoa money goes to pay farmers, when you receive it, it goes to pay cocoa board costs. It goes to pay, miscellaneous expenditures and the rest. And then we're doing cocoa roads, contractors and the rest. And I'm saying the refrain that you ignore, what we use those monies for, is similar to the refrain where you oppose ESLA, you call it a nuisance tax, then you come into office, then you go to Washington, right, and say, oh, we are going to pay all the energy sector debt. And the way in which we are going to pay it, and you can Google the vice president and the minister, and the way we are going to pay it, right, is to collateralize, right? And they mentioned ESLA, to collateralize the ESLA receipts. Use it to pay the IPPs so that we can stabilize, the power supply. What did you do? You went ahead, you won a prize. It's there. They won a prize for ESLA.
I remember.
ESLA won a prize. No mention to Ghanaians that, what they had opposed, the structure they had opposed, right, actually won a prize. Let's put that aside.
Then you introduced ESLA in the year 2015.
2015.
Very late in the evening, that's when it was approved. I recall very much. I was sitting in Parliament at the time.
Yes, because they wanted to know, the reason it was approved late in the evening was because they wanted to know to the penny, to the peswa, right, to the cent, the exact liability of the energy sector before the bill could be passed. We calculated,
which was a justified claim.
Of course it was, but we had the statistics.
Yeah, because if you don't know which debt you are supposed to have, how do you find solutions?
I'm saying we had the statistics. Remember, I was also then corresponding minister for energy. So I was presenting, both sides of the, for power. But let's not lose the trend. And I'm saying, why I'm saying the refrain is familiar is that now they are blaming cocoa on 2016. What about the outputs and everything for 8 years? You are now going back and blaming the current condition on what happened in 2016 after 8 years. And I'm saying it's familiar to, 1, ESLA being done, you oppose it. 2, you going to Washington and admitting that, yes, the ESLA money is there, the flows are good, and we'll pay the IPPs. 3, the way we'll do it is to collateralize, the ESLA revenue so we can pay faster. 3, you collateralize it. After you won the prize, it gave you a good incentive. You collateralize it. 4, you didn't pay. You didn't pay the IPPs. And then you come back and you blame President Mahama for continuation of Doomsop. So now you want to go back, repeat the same refrain, go back what? nearly 8 years and blame every single year of the 8. You couldn't do a recovery in 8 years. And when you have output had gone down and everything, then you go back to 2016 and blame President Mahama for an event in 2016. You blame President Mahama for what? Something in 2024.
Now,
I think we should stop this.
Of course, let's move beyond the GDP part. Are we
clear? Are we clear with cocoa?
Yes, but it appears
are we clear with
you don't
cocoa?
want to accept that in 2017, the 1.8 billion
No,
was
I'm
no longer in the coffers. There was no peswa there. In fact, but you know that there are 2 seasons for buying cocoa. The argument from government is that, yes, you took the money and you used it to buy cocoa for, presumably, for the first part. But they were expecting money to buy cocoa when they came in because there's a second season that they had to buy cocoa. And that for the entire year 2017,
why didn't they say it back
go
then?
take
No,
money
why didn't they say it back then? Why didn't they say it back then? Why didn't they release the report back then? We are talking 8 years back. That's the point I'm making. We'll do the research, and come back for
no, I get your point anyway. But the other issue that will also be raised, of course, that is agriculture, because we just talked about the contributions to GDP now and the very current one. Inflation. Inflation is...
No, but let's talk about agriculture, the performance of agriculture. Are you therefore aware that had we handled the cocoa sector well, the growth we are talking about would have been higher? Had we handled agriculture very well, going into and not, laden the nation with debt and all those, pay the farmers consistently over which the article points, that the growth we are talking about would have been better, far better.
Really? No, I'm just asking whether it would have been so.
It's only logical.
Yes, maybe if we had done better, it would have been so.
Yes.
Yes, but...
but that past record is not being spoken about.
Yes, I get your point.
That immediate past record
No, that's the point you are intending to make. I get your point. Well, I didn't get it at first, so I now understand what the point you wanted to make was. So, yeah, of course, GDP is what we're on.
Yeah,
and
we're on GDP.
I mean, this is just first quarter we are talking about.
Yes.
The rest of the year, does it look like we will stay still or do even better?
Oh, there are going to be injections, to the economy. Look, nobody is willing this economy ill. And the fact that it has been mismanaged already, right?
Mismanaged?
To be where we are, of course, it was. And we are where we are today. It does not mean that, look, my relatives are suffering. Your relatives are also suffering. The highest ever inflation rate. We are just now coming down, monetizing and doing all of those things, right? So it's been tough and it's still tough. Haircuts, for savings, for a market which was created in 2013 and by 2017 had become, the largest fixed income market in Ghana. And you devastate it completely, right? You do haircuts, you suspend payments. We don't have access to the global financial, to the global, markets. As a result of which we are leaning, on T-bills, which are supposed to be 3 months, and we keep rolling over, and therefore we are into almost a year of when we started relying on T-bills. The redemption rate is very low, and what that means is that T-bills that were issued around about this time last year are 1 year old, and so they become 1 year instruments at a high rate of 30% plus. No, we are not going to be complacent. No, I'm making...
Yes, the admissions that we've been through difficult times. I'm not sure anybody's run away from that.
Self-inflicted wound?
You call it a self-inflicted wound?
Of course, yes.
I mean, government disagrees. They feel that it's a combination of COVID and the war.
I'm saying that the IMF has already said that there were conditions, pre-existing conditions before that.
But there's always
so it confirmed
of our economy.
But they never admitted it. They never admitted that they had their own pre-existing conditions, even when we did the calculations.
Okay.
And so that the deficit was wrong. It was wrong to do all those things. They never admitted it.
Of course, yes, government was not...
no, we had the referee. So we were saying, this is what you were doing. They were denying it. And we had a referee. Have they gone to oppose the referee?
That's interesting. Now, we're still on the very issue of GDP. Finally, moving beyond it. There was some time that we were doing 7%. You remember? There was a time, in fact, in early 2017, we had gone up to 8%. There was some time that we did 7%.
Oh, thanks to 2 oil fields from President Mahama. To which we have never added even a single oil field for 8 years.
Yes, you know.
No, I'm saying that. No, I gave you the statistics from the beginning. Raymond, why are you not?
No.
Why?
I'm saying that there were times.
Wait a minute. Let me repeat. Raymond.
No, I'm not asking you to repeat that.
No,
point.
Raymond, let me.
Maybe if you hear the question.
I'm saying I'm giving you the 2017 factors, and I'm saying that.
Yeah, that's why we had 8% in 2017.
Of course, I already said you can Google. I said that the economy was going to see a turnaround in 2017. We gave reasons. That was our last.
In fact, the World Bank World Economic Outlook had also predicted a similar thing.
Of course, yes.
My point here is that
another referee. Another referee. Today you are quoting a lot of referees.
I'm saying.
No, wait.
I'm just stating facts.
Wait. I'm saying that. Today you are quoting a lot of referees. Because when I came out and said that we are going to see a turnaround, Google and see how we were lambasted and everything. The World Bank came in, and then it was quiet when the referee came in. Okay. And he said, this is not an old goal. It's a good goal. Right? Right? It's just like we've had another referee, this time around.
Talk about pre-existing.
Yes. So I'm saying that. So Raymond, what I'm saying is,
the question I'm asking you is, will we go back to those days where we used to do 6%, 7%, 8%? Is it likely anytime soon?
Yes, Ghanaians will vote for President Mahama. We'll go back to it.
No, but sorry. I'm talking about these things happened in 2017, 2018, 2019. I hope you get my point. The 8% was in 20...
With one oil field?
2011.
No, but have you forgotten? With one oil field? That was with one oil field.
The 11% was in 2011.
It was with, and I'm saying it was with one oil field.
Yes.
So you see, this notion of we did 7% with 3 oil fields. Yeah. When you had 3 oil fields, you had buffers. You want me to start counting the buffers?
No, I'm not saying.
No, I'm asking you. Do you want me to count the buffers?
With respect, the question I'm asking is whether or not we will go back to those years, because
that is the expectation of Ghana.
Many people in the Republic of Ghana are yearning for those periods where we had higher growth rates.
Raymond, I don't want to be cynical at all, because we have an IMF program. We are going to have World Bank support. We are going to have debt suspension. So if we hit 7%, it shouldn't be a surprise at all. Okay. The point I'm making is that we should only remember that 7% is coming with debt which has been suspended, which will hit us in 2027, late 2026, 2027, by the trajectory, right? We are reminding Ghanaians that it also would require us starting to pay some of the suspended domestic debt, right? And, those are the conditions. The bilaterals will see what has been released when we're supposed to be, paying. And then the commercial, there will be the release, and we'll know when we're supposed to be paying. Then we'll have a good profile. Okay. So I'm saying that.
I get your point.
Yeah, so I'm saying that, yes. So all these reliefs, if, like COVID, after all this, like the COVID 6 billion, if after all this, we don't, all these largesse from the external creditors who had suspended our debt and everything, we don't post a good end of year GDP, then I'm afraid, we would have disappointed, the IMF and others, as much as possible. We would have disappointed them terribly.
I get your point. Inflation is trending downwards a little bit. Of course, there's a big conversation in this country about cost of living, which is way out of order for many people.
We are beginning to have fresh foods.
Okay.
We are beginning to, we'll soon be having, I don't know if it's already, I've not gone on the mountains, but fresh corn, is coming to the market. So we are in the pharmacies.
It will increasingly
Of course,
ease
naturally it will.
inflation.
Yes, naturally it will. Because seasonally, this is the period when it is, unless the rains have not been good.
Okay, but we've been having a lot of rains.
That's what
at least according to the meteo.
No, if it is not excessive to spoil the crop.
Oh, that's interesting too.
Exactly. Yeah. If it is not excessive to spoil the crop, and you have a reasonably good crop, as we had last year, then the worry is about post-harvest losses.
That's true.
And the prices, dampening for the farmers who have toiled and others, because of
Because of the
condition
losses.
for storage, yes.
Okay.
Post-harvest, losses and, yes. And lack of value addition.
What is refusing to show improvement in the trend is exchange rate. Why do you think that's the case?
Well, I think there was a slight stability when the board was announced, and so the anticipation that once the board goes to, once the board meets, June 28th.
Yeah.
Right.
The end of the month.
And yes, and the expectation is that they will give, the go ahead, and once that is approved, then we expect, the release of the second tranche, no longer 600, but around 300, to be released, together with World Bank, African Development Bank, development partner. There will be definitely some injection, of forex into the, and so to the extent that, in terms of futures pricing, the market will be seeing some flow, of forex into the market, and therefore they wouldn't be bidding, or they'll be more cautious in bidding high. And then when the actual flows come, that's the spot. Then the spot at worst will stabilize. But the question is, if 1.2 has not helped us in the past, this time we are not going to get 600. We are going to get 336 or something approximately. And that means that we must take our structural measures seriously.
I'll come to that. Yeah. I just want to read to you what government says has been the main reasons why we have the recent pressures on the cedi. Yeah. The last MPC said the pressure in the foreign exchange market reflected increased demand for higher imports, 1, energy sector payments, 2, 3, and uncertainty surrounding the progress of debt restructuring negotiation with external creditors. And it says these conditions have fed into sentiment and contributed to additional pressures. It talked about the year-to-date basis, the cedi depreciated by 14.6% against the dollar as at 22nd May, compared to 21.8% for the first 5 months of 2023.
But Bank of Ghana is just giving you the facts as they are. Because 1, they are saying high imports.
Yes.
So let's the first quarter, is ending the dry season, where imports peak because domestic supplies and because of lack of, storage, proper storage, value addition, and other things, post-harvest losses. There's pressure on food prices, so food prices begin to go up again from when they came down. So there's a seasonality. Quarter, yeah. So there's a seasonality there, yeah, which we should expect. So that is spot on. Energy payments, right? Yeah. That's why we're going to the board, because these are payables that should be cleared.
And recently we got some help to do that.
And it tells you to the extent that these are going to IPPs, which is why it is a link. It's not domestic. So it is a cedi. Cedis, should have been government revenues. But it tells you why there was pressure, as BOG is saying, on the dollar, because funds have to be made available for making that payment. And to that extent, less funds is available for regular imports and others. So the cedi went under pressure. And then it talks about debt, delay in the debt restructuring. We just spoke about that, right? Yeah. And because it delayed going to the board, and therefore it delayed the inflow or the funds we are expecting at the end of June should have come in early May. So we are two months behind. Early May. So we are 2 months, behind. And therefore the markets were beginning to have some doubts. And by the way, remember that, yes, the bilaterals have agreed, for us to go to the board. Third time. First time, China, France. Second time, China, France, first review. Now, the condition is that there is agreement in aggregate, but Ghana should meet with the individual countries, to agree specific terms. And that, therefore, is waiting for us for the November review.
Okay. Yeah. But will we sail through that easily? Now that there's a broad MOU, will we sail through the individual countries' engagement easily?
Maybe you should be throwing a question to my good friend Amin.
Yes, I know. But you have been there before. Of course, you have not negotiated this one before, but you have been in that position as finance minister before. I'm asking whether...
Well, the worst we came to was, the worst we came to was going to the board and asking for waivers on specific conditionalities.
Okay.
But there was no question of the board not meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, now, I would speak to you about the landmark nature of this particular agreement, but the Bank of Ghana says they are taking measures to improve market conduct and instill sanity in the market for foreign exchange. In fact, to this end, the Bank of Ghana has worked with the Ghana Association of Banks to streamline documentation requirements for foreign payments to minimize the incentives to resort to the informal market. In fact, they're also saying to deal with the high demand pressures on the foreign exchange market, the bank has taken steps in the past few weeks to directly absorb foreign exchange needs of some corporate institutions.
Yeah, it's a regular function of the Bank of Ghana. In fact, if you go to the constitution, the management of the forex is the only function that is mentioned specifically apart from its growth and the stability and other objectives. But remember when...
I was going to ask
I'm asking you a question.
Prudent...
Okay, let me ask you one question.
Yes.
Yes. You remember when we did the audit, of use of forex?
Yeah.
So every system needs, a jolt once in a while, because otherwise you go sleeping and things are happening and the rest. So yes. So this is not something which I would argue with at all. It's something that is required.
There are prudent measures that can help stem the tide.
They are regular prudent measures.
Except that many people say we have not seen the evidence of improvement in the currency market currently.
Yeah, because we've gone deep, Raymond. I mean, what Ghana has gone through, we've gone deep. The IMF program has only come...
You need 15 point something cedis to actually get a dollar still this morning.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, that we will be lucky for the dollar until the board meeting to stabilize in the interim between that 15.5 and 16 to stabilize, right?
We'll be lucky.
And then, yes, and then that stabilization would continue. I don't know about going down, right? That is the CD being more valuable. But I'm saying that in terms of
we were at 6 CD. We thought it was reprehensible. It was unacceptable. Barely 2 years ago, around 2022.
Raymond, you're talking about history. I thought you would go back and talk about when we were at 3.6.
No, I'm not going. I'm just settling around a couple of years ago.
No, but you went back to 20. You went back to...
That is what they reference. That's when it comes to cocoa.
No, I'm saying that in our conversation, you went back to 2016.
Okay, so maybe I have to reference the fact that in the year 2015 or 2016, it was around 3 CD 80 or 3 CD.
Yeah, so that tells us the rate of the decline is steeper than
I didn't know that was the point you wanted to make with that. But the question I'm asking is, will we ever get to the point where we reverse this trend to, say, 6 CD, if not to expect 4 or 5?
Well, to be frank, what has often happened is that you stabilize with some, if you are lucky, reduction, but to go back to 4, to the dollar or whatever, because remember, you have to look at the U.S. economy.
Okay, yeah.
The Fed there is also struggling.
Yeah.
With increasing interest rates, it's with a view to reducing inflation and the rest, and the signs that is going down. So the calibration they are doing is similar to what our central bank is also doing.
Well, well, it's interesting. I mean, some have asked that we should support monetary policies with fiscal policies, and that...
And vice versa.
Yes, but which fiscal policies are required now to help this struggling city? That's if it's possible.
Okay, can we talk about what went wrong?
Okay, yeah, briefly, yeah.
So immediately we stopped Bank of Ghana financing 1.7 billion, which is the equivalent of the entire deficit, for 2021 or thereabout, right? We've seen the sort of gradual stabilization that you are talking about. So that is where fiscal policy complements monetary policy. Because otherwise, the fiscal is putting pressure and cleaning both our domestic and external reserves. Because when you are financing the deficit, mind you are financing foreign payments as well, right? And you are financing, city payments. And that is where, and if things are not still holding, that is where the issue of monetization and printing of currency and others come in, by some of the economies that have gone really bad. So the fact that we made we ate humble pie, went to the fund, and we are getting this support, I think it's something that is helpful to the Ghanaian in as much as it is a little late. And on the flip side, BOG, handling forest reserves, very carefully, right? Rationing it well across the economy, boosts, output, and therefore boosts profits, and therefore boosts taxation, tax revenue.
Gold for oil, has he helped with our stabilization plans? The Vice President, and this MPP's candidate believes it has.
Oh, based on what record? Based on the default? No, based on...
Gold for oil was recently introduced. It's not been operative for a long time.
Since when?
Gold for oil?
Yes.
It's been less than a year. You recall, it was at the height of we having difficulties that we brought in gold for oil.
Yes.
Yes.
No, but we were not exporting gold at the time.
No, we said we're doing, but we're still operating the program.
No, but what difference does it make? I mean, let's... If it's come in a year, if it's coming, I'm saying that, I'm not saying the thing hasn't done anything. I don't do the zero game. Mm-hmm. I don't do the zero game, which is what we suffered from. You are zero, we will do better. No, I don't do the zero game because every policy measure has an element of success. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying that which gold was being used in exchange? And have we therefore checked the ordinary supply of gold, whether it remains stable? Was it additional gold or the same gold? Right? And what's in the name? If you take gold, if you take gold outside, is it not export? If you take something outside your country, is it not export? Mm-hmm. Is it not just a mechanism for taking it out that has changed?
But Dr. Bamian,
I'm asking, is it not the mechanism that has...
wonderful policy? You don't think so?
Pardon?
Dr. Bamian believes it's a very wonderful policy. You don't think so?
No, but he's believed in many wonderful policies.
Like?
The 170 questions.
That's not policy anyway.
No, they were full of policies. No, they were full of policies and how, Pakwesi and his boss, the late, hasn't been doing well, and how therefore, this is an index we should have been well, this is an index that should have been well. That's where.
Are you one of those people who think that he should be answering those questions now?
Yes, I've said it openly, so I'm not going to deny.
Why?
Oh, no. So you didn't do well in growth. So what was growth? Then what is growth now? You didn't do well in raising taxes. What was the tax to GDP ratio then? And what is it now? You didn't do well in taming, as you have been discussing inflation. Mm-hmm. What was it then and what was it now? Can I mention them?
As in, you're talking about...
As in 3.6 versus 54 down to 23.
Yes.
The highest since structural adjustment. Yeah, so it's worth doing the comparison. Otherwise, then he's not running on his record.
Okay.
Why are you not asking him to run on his record?
He is. He says...
No, he's making more promises.
He says he's the only person who's had 30 policies that to his name and to his record, and that his competitor has not gotten any such 30 policies.
Have you seen the list?
I have seen the list. What, do you have a difficulty with that?
Oh, no, we'll do another show on it.
Oh, you want a show on
that?
Yeah,
send it to me. Yeah, so that we can... This I will go item by item.
Okay, well...
Because we know the record.
It's interesting.
Yeah, because we know the record already, so we'll listen.
Now, let me bring
because unless it's not the record that I know.
The most recent landmark, what they call it, good news for government. Ghana government has reached a memorandum of understanding with this official creditors committee. Maybe I should read portions to you.
Is it no restructuring?
Please, let me finish with that so that those who have not heard it before.
No,
this was released on the 12th.
Didn't we do restructuring in 2015 and they said you don't borrow to pay for existing debt?
Maybe if I finish
No, I'm asking you.
Is the point I want to read.
Okay.
It says the government of Ghana is pleased to announce that an agreement has been reached on a memorandum of understanding with this official creditor committee regarding the debt treatment agreed upon in January 2024. Ghana's OCC is co-chaired by China and France, both of which played important roles in this achievement.
They gave us the waivers for the board approval of the program. They gave us the waivers for the first review. They are giving us, those two countries,
yes,
they are
China
giving us
France.
the waiver for 3. Since when did countries have to give us waivers? 17 programs, 18, and counting. Go back and let's see. Since when did countries have to give waivers? I told you there's no waivers.
Is that not what makes this a landmark one?
A landmark does not have to be positive.
So you don't think that that's positive?
I'm saying a landmark does not have to be positive. If you leave this station, I'm sure that you know these rules very well.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You know where to slow down, even in the night, because you know there's some pothole there.
Yeah.
That's a landmark. It's not necessarily positive. We have still defaulted. We've suspended. So what is so positive about this?
Now,
is this the achievement?
No, it says here the MOU finalizes or formalizes the agreement in principle reached with the official creditors in January and marks a crucial step. This is the important step. It marks a crucial step towards Ghana restoring long-term debt sustainability. Do you disagree?
Oh, is that from the Minister for Finance?
Yes, this is the statement.
Yeah, the statement.
It's a direct quote.
Can we go down?
As in the final
The sinking fund portion.
Okay, I'll come to that. But do you disagree
No, I'm
with this
asking.
point?
No, I'm saying that this is not unusual. Because this is about the fund program. And we've always gone and had, we announced the fact that the board has approved without all these preconditions. That's the difference I'm making.
All right. Now, the financial terms of the agreement remain unchanged, and it provides significant debt service relief during the fund-supported program period, allowing financial resources to be directed towards critical areas.
Let's wait for the terms. What about relief? Remember, the previous one is a suspension of the debt.
Okay, yes.
Remember, the agreement. This is like a positivity to the domestic debt exchange. When, how do you call it, pension funds, pensioners and others were suffering. Yeah, we said it was an achievement. I remember I mentioned that, no, this is as a sacrifice, of Ghanaians. And so we shouldn't be counting it as anything positive. So we have defaulted. We have not gone to the market. I would have been happy if the outcome of this is that we have access to the capital markets so that we stop depending on, T-bills.
That's an interesting point. Now, it says here, the formalization, and that's continuing on the statement. It says the formalization, well, if I get the statement right, yes, it says the formalization of the OCC agreement is expected to pave the way for the approval by the IMF Executive Board of the second review of the fund-supported post-COVID-19 program for economic recovery.
Which should have occurred May 1st.
It shall be done in May.
Yeah. According to the program. If you go to the IMF program, the content, it should have been done in May.
Yeah.
So the delay is the achievement.
Not
we are talking about achievements.
Okay, yes.
Is that not what you?
Yes, it talks about the significant achievements.
So I'm asking whether
the delay from May to...
There was a delay. There was a delay for going to the board for the agreement. There was a delay for the first mission, right? The first tranche. And there's a third delay. And these are achievements. Then Dr. Bochu and the rest, the late, who would have been taking bigger credits because they've taken, past ministers of finance have gone and the waivers that they were given, they were waivers of only one conditionality, not of the whole program. Okay, please, let's go.
Now, I'm coming up with this because, so it says allowing the next tranche of the IMF $360 million to be disbursed. That's by the end of the year.
We've taken 1.2 already.
You said we've taken 1.2?
Yes.
Yeah, 1.2 billion, yes.
Yes. So, and now we are taking
360 million.
Yes.
Is that worrying to you that we used to get...
It's worrying because, over a period of 1 year, 1.2 billion plus World Bank injection, African Development Bank injections, development partner injections, and our own revenues have not been able to stop the slide in the economy.
Now, the IMF board's approval should also trigger more financial assistance from our development partners.
That's what I was just talking about.
Yeah, the World Bank, as you mentioned.
Yes. So, yes.
The agreement will also bolster the current and ongoing discussion.
How is what you are discussing now different? How is it different from, except the fact that it will bolster private creditors? This also is outstanding.
It says it will bolster the discussion with private creditors.
I'm reminding you that it is outstanding.
Yes, we are not
it would have been positive
on that.
Yeah, exactly. So it would have been positive. You have said, continue and said that, it will confirm an agreement, with us. So we should know that this is waiting for us for November.
Of course, we say Ghana has remained committed to finding a comparable agreement as early as possible. And it says here, each official creditor will now follow its internal procedures to actually get the MOU.
That's the point I was making earlier.
Yes, that's
its conditional.
That's dictated, yes, it's conditional.
So it's not an absolute, agreement.
So, well, I need to move to the next point on that particular list. That should be able to get me...
The positive.
Yes. Ghana continues to engage in good faith with all commercial external creditors, striving to finalize restructuring agreements.
Remember there was an agreement. We didn't meet the debt sustainability analysis, and therefore, so there's still a header to clear for the next review.
That we are talking about whatever agreement we should have, it should meet Ghana's debt relief and the comparability of treatment principle. Ghana also reiterates its firm commitment to remain...
that expression there is very, very important. Comparability of what that is the demand they're making. That, look, we don't want to give in more than the bilaterals and others have. Yes.
Okay.
Done.
Is that problematic?
Yeah, it's a point for negotiation.
Well, that's interesting.
Yes.
It's one of those hurdles I'm sure governments committed they can run. Of course, moving on to the next point.
So it's a challenge, it's not a positive. Have you agreed?
Yes, I agree that it's a challenge.
It's a challenge,
yes.
Not a positive.
But the government stated the positives.
No, we were talking about positives.
It's as if you are looking for more positives, but...
No, you raised my expectations, and that's why I started reading.
Now, the Honorable Minister for Finance, Mohammed Amin Adam MP, said the Ministry of Finance, on behalf of the Republic of Ghana, extends gratitude to all members of the OCC, particularly the committee's co-chairs, that's China and France, for their unwavering commitment to assisting our country in resolving its debt issues. This landmark agreement marks an extraordinary milestone in Ghana's debt restructuring journey and will further strengthen our ambitious reforms agenda with strong support of our development partners.
It's only better than HIPIC.
It's only better than HIPIC?
Yeah. It's even worse than HIPIC.
It's worse than
defaulted. Of course, HIPIC we didn't default. The debt was forgiven. Now we have to go to restructuring. You see, whoever forgets history repeats. What's the expression?
Well, my time is up.
Oh, I thought we were going to sinking fund.
Finally, on sinking fund, government appears interested in bringing back some of those areas where we would help still keep money and use it to pay our debts in the future. Do you feel vindicated? Because it appears you feel so.
No, I feel sorry that we have wasted all this time. When with 3 oil fields, we could have boosted both the stabilization fund, the sinking fund, which would have then reduced the rate of borrowing or made it, realistic. So yeah, it's welcome. As far as Ghanaians are concerned, I'm saying it's belated.
I guess I can leave it off here now.
But I must commend the minister. Of course, I knew he was part of the debate. He was then in, what's the name of the energy?
ASEP, Africa Center for
they were part of these debates and whatever. So, well, this is good news for Ghanaians, let me say, because it is only showing us that, for us to make progress, we must take tough decisions. And I've often compared it to households. And I'm saying when you get your bonus and you don't put some aside, and you have young children in particular, when they start coughing, you go and borrow. But when you get your bonus and you put some aside, you're going to rush them to a hospital confident. Not going to knock at your friend's door first, if you squander it all. So when crude oil prices fall, as we have said, as JM has said, this is an initiative, we must put some aside to stabilize the economy. COVID is another example. 250 million, we took it first. We've taken 4 million out. Now it's depleted. The next crisis will come. It's not the case. The crises are inevitable.
Thank you so much, Honorable Seth Terkper, former Finance Minister of the Republic of Ghana. And folks, many thanks to you for joining us on today's edition of UPFront.